Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about this really cool place that I found on Earth, and it's called Taize. I've kind of referred to it in a past video as a monastery, but they call themselves a Christian community, a Christian monastic fraternity. So there's 100 brothers, and brothers are like not priests, but they're celibate guys who are from Christian and Protestant backgrounds, like traditions. Sometimes when people think monastery or monastic, they're thinking like some beautiful marble building on the top of like a mountain in Bhutan in the Himalayas, like this very beautiful palace. That is not Taize. Taize is like a monastery in a shed. It's like this massive shed that can house like 5,000 people, and you're on the floor, and even though they vacuum it 3 times a day, there's always dirt on the floor because it's dusty, dry. Taize, which is in Burgundy in France, this like remote community. And yeah, there's 100 brothers, but there's also like people from all over the world who flock just to be there. The brothers do 3 prayers a day, which is kind of like a mini mass, like Catholic community mass is like the word for church. So you sing with them, you all sing together all these amazing songs. They sell CDs, they're on Spotify. You can listen to like these beautiful monks chanting. Well, they're not monks, but they're brothers. And like everyone knows all the words. They're in like that. I don't know how many languages the songs are in, but like each song has got at least a translation of like 6 to 8 different languages in each song because they're so diverse. They welcome every country, every language. It's just like the most welcoming community I have ever found in my whole life ever. I didn't realize that so many people knew about it because I had never heard of this before, this place called Taize. And the more people that I talked to, they were like, oh yeah, I know Taize, I know Taize. It's like, yeah, so it's like that Christian basis of Catholic and Protestant from the brothers. But everyone in the world of Taize knows about it, but I didn't know about it. So I found out about it when I was working at a school, and the principal, I was just doing supply teaching at this school, and the principal had his assembly, and he played this like chanting music of like these people doing really lovely, beautiful, kind of like classical chanting. And then he said he camped there with his girlfriend in the summer one year when he was 19, and it was a monastery. I was like, what? Summertime camping with these like monks, it sounded like, chanting. That just did not add up. It was the most strange concept I've ever heard. So I went up to him at the end of the day and I was like, hey, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, it's Taize, look it up. So I looked it up, and at that time, there were buses. I was living in London at the time that drove from London all the way to Taize. They don't have them anymore. But at that exact time, they had a bus that was just like really easy. I was like, I don't know what this place is. That guy talked about it. It sounds pretty cool. That was my only context. Again, I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. And I just looked up online, Taize, and they said there's this youth week, which is called Reflection Week. It's for 18 to 35-year-olds. So I thought that's the only week that you're allowed to visit them, and the rest of the time they were like in silence or doing their like brother business. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, there's only 1 week where you can go and visit them, so I better get on the bus and go. So I went down, and man, it was just like, it's an actual experience of the whole world getting along. And it's not just Christians there. They invite like Muslim people, every different country, every different religion to talk about their religion, so their religions can be peaceful. There's lots of Jewish teachers. There were like European politicians there in this particular week called the Reflection Week, which they haven't had because of COVID for a few years. But before COVID, it was like, there was normally a theme. So sometimes it was like on environment. So they had like the guy who started Extinction Rebellion, Nick, so he was there talking about it. And then other times they had like refugees, so talking about people who had refugees in their homes in different countries. So there was like a famous tennis player from, I'm not sure what country he was from, him and his wife, they had refugees living in their home. And then there's other like, there are these French politicians who had refugees in their home. So every year there's a theme, and they invite like the most interesting people from around the world who know about Taize to come and share with the youth, to like build the community, inform them what's going on in the world, and like help to show them how we could all like, work together as not just Europeans, but there's also lots of people from like Australia, from New Zealand, so the whole world is like kind of assembled there in a small scale, talking about solutions to these massive problems or like issues, or how we could like better look after the planet and the people in it. Another time there was talk about different charities, and there was a guy who had a charity in Africa getting children out of jail. This is in like 2000 and 19 modern day. There's like five-year-olds in jail in some different places, and his charity is to stop that. So it's stuff that you don't even know exists. These people come and educate me. And every time I go in that week, I'm just so fortunate to have found this place. I love all the chanting, the music, the reflection, like the inner work. I love the people that they bring here who are associated, like who know Taize, who are willing to come and share their story and teach me about what's actually really going on in the world with so many different people. And yeah, all these people, like there's very high profile people who go there. You all stay in like the most basic campsite facility. Either you're camping in your own tent, or you have just like a single bunk, and you have like a very thin mattress, and you can borrow one of their blankets if you don't have one. You're in a room, a dorm of like 6 other girls if you're a girl, or guys if you're a guy. It's just so bare, so basic. You go into this shed, you have to line up and queue for like the meals with like another 2,000 people. It takes you like sometimes even like an hour to get to the front, and you just get what they give you. So it's kind of like a festival vibe in a way, because there's so many people, and it's like sunny when they have the reflection week, and it's also so fun because everyone is from so many different countries, and they're like so happy to be there, and they're so in love with it. Like they're so proud that they love Taize. They're just like, Taize is the best. And they're not necessarily very religious people, really. They're just like really fun, down to earth, but also like looking for like that slight peace in their lives, or like that slight contemplation, or like looking for something a bit deeper, or just looking for really cool people to meet. So I've made like really good friends from like Sweden and Brussels and Germany. Like I've really made a lot of cool friends from all over the world just because you're at this same place together. It's like, I say the word monastery and monastic, but really it's kind of like festival, and it's also so educational about what's going on in the world, and it's also good for self-reflection. And in another video I talk about, there's an option to do silent retreats there for 7 days as well on top of that. I wouldn't do that during the reflection week because there's so much going on and it's so fun, but any other week in the year you can do a silent retreat. Also, you don't just have to go there during reflection week. If you can't go during that 1 week in the year, which is normally at the end of August, you can go anytime. And if you're older than 35, there's like an adult area where you can go, and like, you can kind of like camp. So there's like, they have time and space for families to go, and they have like sometimes like kids club where the little children can like be played with the Taize volunteers. There's lots of volunteers who go and help the brothers with the work of running the Taize, and you have to like pay, depending on your country, you pay like an amount just to stay there for board and for food and things to stay at the monastery, but it's not expensive. In the evening you can go, or even during the day, and you can buy like extra food there. Like they have like, like nice things like croquettes, or there's like crisps and ice cream, like, and you can also at night time you can get like wine there and stuff. So there's like kind of like a party area where you can go and like talk to people and just like make friends. And there's like, there's young people, there's like older people, like, it's just, I just have never felt such a part of like a global community before in one place. I just felt like being from Australia, living in London, I found this place in Europe that made me feel like it was like family, it was like home, it was just like, you just meet at this level where people are just open to talking about slightly more real stuff, and they're interested in like the affairs of the world if they're there at that week, depending on the theme. And there's some neighbouring towns that you can go and visit as well. I've never actually done that. I always just stay in Taize because I want to learn everything that I can while I'm there. Yeah, just a really interesting place if you ever want to try that. And you can do a 7-day retreat, a 7-day silent retreat there as well, and just a really interesting place to go.